All right. Good morning, everybody. Back with you in the Studio 10-4 live, and it is the morning drive, and it is winding down a July, and it is 29th of July, 2026. Man, I hope you all are doing good. Got a good show lined up for you. We have a special guest in the studio this morning. Most of you know Nick Kimball as Nick Kimball. Now he's Peterbilt Slick Nick, as he's calling himself out there, but we'll find out why that is and what he's up to and what he's doing, man. You know, and before you guys have any kind of preconceived, uh, notions of Peterbilt dealership, builder, yes, this, that, whatever. Listen, you know what? At the core of what Nick does, he is a truck builder. That's what he facilitates and makes happen. And the same goes for our some other folks that are involved with 10-4 that are in the magazine, contributors. Clint Moore, another example of a guy that works for a Peterbilt dealership, and this guy, he facilitates making guys trucks happen. That's what he does. And you do that by listening to your customers and deciding with them what's going to work best, giving them the best knowledge, information, and ability to make good decisions on the trucks that they build. And let me tell you, I've been through this process myself, so I know. I was more educated maybe than some going in, but I knew what I wanted. I knew why I wanted it this way, and then it was the dealer's job to kind of educate me any further. If there was something I was missing or could do better, I would hope they would let me know. And I think that's exactly what Nick and folks like Nick can do for us. So let's give props to Nick and his abilities and the things that he does, and I'll let him tell you more about that. Also in the show this morning, first off, I want to bring Matt in. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Good to have you back, buddy. Good to have you back. We miss you when you're not here, man.
Yeah, I had some stuff come up like last minute, so literally within minutes. So I apologize.
No need. We just know that we miss you, and it's good to have you back in the show. As I started to talk to you there before we went live, oh gosh. Okay, so I don't know if anybody's watching or paying attention or cares, but boy, I hope you do, because we're in the post-COVID era, right? Everybody knows that. We are in the post-COVID era. And for a lot of folks, that means they made it out the other end. They're struggling still to make it through the other end, or they didn't make it through to the other end. And that not making it could be the most severe of not making it. And they're not here to realize what's going on right now, because they literally didn't make it. They died. And gentleman who was supposed to be the voice of reason, all-knowing, knowledgeable guy in the whole process of COVID from beginning to its post-COVID era, Dr. Anthony Fauci just pleaded the fifth 111 times at the Senate hearing that he was just in front of. And listen, you can come to your own conclusions, whatever those may be, about why somebody would do that and how somebody could do that, especially in his position. But take it from my personal opinion as a guy that, was hospitalized with COVID in the hospital. I was there for 11 days. Haven't been the same since. Physically, have not. It affected me in that big of a way, as well as many others too, I'm sure, out there. This guy answered for nothing. Zero. Answered for nothing. And if you take the time to go back here what the guy said and the questions that were asked and that were not answered, he pled the fifth every single time. Now, he did give an opening statement, so there's some contradiction in that, and I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer, but from what I'm hearing, if you give an opening statement, it contradicts the fact that you are pleading the fifth and not answering, and therefore puts you in contempt, is what I'm hearing. So if that's the case, then, well, we'll see what happens. That being said, there is going to be massive follow-up to what does happen after this into looking into contempt, looking into voiding the presidential pardon that was a preemptive pardon that was given to him by then President Biden. And it was predated all the way back to 2014. Think about that. 2014, up to, but not further than the date of issue, so that it would guarantee anything that would happen to him, he get a pass. I'm just
so a couple things.
Yeah.
I will tell you. So goes with that, and then even our state. So Amy Acton, who was kind of his counterpart statewide, she's also running for governor here right now. So that's brought up a lot of stuff too. She actually, followed a lot of the same things, and then in the middle of everything, just quit. So, and now she's running for governor. So my personal experience with the COVID thing, you were talking about how you were sick. I had a heart transplant during COVID. So my heart transplant was due to my job. However, because of the COVID, they spent more time trying to justify that it was COVID. Now, we were able to prove that it wasn't. It was due to conditions for my job. But it was very, very. I mean, I was getting tested for COVID constantly.
I bet.
They actually intubated me and did a scrape because even though I didn't have the antibodies, they thought maybe there was some other stuff. The biggest part of the thing with the COVID thing for me is I was in the hospital for 3 months with this heart transplant. My family, so I didn't know if I was going to live or die. I mean, I literally was at that point.
Right.
I went into the hospital on the 26th of 2020, and I came out in April of 21. I saw my family when I went in. I saw my family when I came out. They weren't allowed to come in. They weren't allowed to be around. They were in the parking lot. So, yeah. So I think a lot of this it's bullshit, the whole entire thing. So,
well, it's interesting, Matt, is you were being released in April of 21. I went into the hospital in April of 21, and I was in 11 days. And to this day, I still don't know what they gave me, but I was hooked up to an IV. They were pumping fluid into me of some kind. I never got the shot, got jabbed.
Me neither.
But they got me out of there, and I was in, next door to where they put you when you're not leaving, man. That's where I was. There's those people that were in those rooms, and this ward, it was apocalyptic, man.
So I didn't end up with COVID until after I was released from the hospital, and I ended up with it twice.
Yeah, I had it twice too. Yeah.
But I guess my thing is at the end of the day, it's very cryptic. There's a lot of stuff. I know Fauci. Yep. I mean, he's not even. I mean, he's saying yes, it was a lab release. Yes, it was from. I mean, he's just. No, I don't know. It's very concerning.
He's speaking out of both sides of his face, because his diary, which this is another, like, who does this, right?
Right.
But this diary was a digital diary, apparently, that was, on government equipment, and it was recovered, and now it's in the hearings, and it's part of the evidence against him.
Right.
And it contradicts everything that he told everybody in public. As to where the origin of the virus came from and who was responsible, and on and on and on and on. So,
right.
All I can say is I'm extremely concerned, upset, and felt like betrayed. Not that I ever believed anything this guy was saying, but it just, it goes to point of, here we are post-COVID, 3 years, 4 years later, whatever, wherever you kind of have the cutoff on that. And now this. So
I think it's a long list of things, though, John. I mean, I'm not so sure that I think the government started going downhill after World War II. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I really do. I don't know. I think some stuff started taking a turn. I don't know. Yeah. Just if you know much about history and you follow things, and I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always stuff throughout, you know, the world and things like that. But
Sure,
I don't know.
sure.
I just don't know.
No, there's plenty, but this is what's in front of us today, and to wake up to this morning, my phone's going off saying, you know, news alert. Here's what's happening, and I'm like, oh, you're kidding. And I turn it on, and there it is. So, all right, listen, I'm going to bring our guest in. Everybody, Nick Kimball. Nick, what's going on, bud? You got to turn that mic on there, bud.
There we go. I turned it off hoping that I could get rid of that noise you were talking about.
Yeah, hey, sorry about all that, but you know, I just had to get that out, man. I don't know, you know, if you caught all that or not, and you know, did you get COVID?
I did actually. We were at work. We never shut down, and we were doing a truck for Vinny with Roland Transport. We were converting one of his current trucks over from a 70 to a 63-inch stand-up, and I had to come in on second shift to stay away from the guys, and I will tell you, I made fun of it when it happened, and then I got it, and man, it was not fun for me. I struggled with some breathing and all that stuff, and I still have side effects. Don't have the greatest smell at all. Taste is never really, although they say a lot of that stuff is memory, but man, it was pretty brutal. And then at the same time, we had two guys that were getting full-blown builds, you know, that were ready to go to Louisville with it. And unfortunately, you know, we didn't make it there with them. One of them, you know, he deserves the pie, or, you know, the pieces of what that would have been. I mean, that truck it was Brandon Lesage. The truck was just, you know, impressive. And it definitely stunk. You know, everybody was affected in some way. You know, it's definitely it's crazy to think that it was 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, we're in that realm of 6 years. So, and you're a relatively young guy, man. And I mean, you got it. And brain fog or any of that stuff? Do you have any of the long haul syndrome stuff?
Yeah. I was 30 years old when I got it, and me and my wife actually both got it at the same time. And you know, that the thing to me was how they handled it. You know, we have two young boys, and they're when we talk to the call center that calls you to confirm that you have it and all that, and when I asked the lady, I said, well, you know, what do we do with our kids? Like, that's my worry here. And she said, well, you should wear a mask around the house. And to me, it's like, to scare my kids, you know, like that. Just the things that I felt, you know, obviously you needed to take precautions and stuff, but yeah, some of the things were just.
Well, so therein lies the dilemma. Fauci saying no to masks, then saying yes to masks. And so it's like, pick your, you know, what day, what channel you're listening to, I guess. But, you know, the guy's saying no to it. And listen, I never thought the masks were going to do anything. And apparently we were right. They didn't. So that and the ridicule that so many people had to go through because of their, you know, negative views on the information that was coming out at the time, man. It was just, you know, life-changing and destructive for a lot of people, because
I mean, who would have thought sneezing or coughing would get you the death stare? You know,
well,
that was the one that, to me, it was just like, you couldn't help it. It wasn't anything to do with it, and you're in a gas station, you cough, and it's just, you look back at those times and you never really thought that would be something. And you know, how you look at it and you kind of laugh.
So that's before I retired. So I was still working. So just as a background, I was the fire chief here in town. And so it was a huge clusterfuck from point to end. And, you know, I just think about how everything changed. And I had to put one of my lieutenants on overtime, and their job was basically just to help manage and keep up with the daily updates. And we were getting on calls with the health department, and, you know, things changed. It was really crazy, really crazy what we were doing.
I can only imagine from a first responder position that you guys were in, the change of the calls and the day-to-day that you guys had going on from what it used to be to what ended up happening with COVID and that whole deal. And there was, there's just so much fallout from it now that's now coming around, especially the monetary thing, man. The hundreds of millions of dollars that are being recovered, or at least admitted that have been taken and stolen, and these people are out of the country with all this money that they got somehow. Well, the rest of us, man, we were struggling to get to the next day, whether be it because we were sick or worried about getting sick, or just hibernating in our homes because everything was shut down. Anyway, listen, this is just frustrating as hell. I mean, if that guy doesn't get sued for every frickin' thing that he ever had in his life and have to pay back something so we all get a piece of it, just in general principle, I just don't see what the hell we're doing, because he owes, and I'm a firm believer in that at this point. To not answer any questions, you just floors me. So, Nick, let's talk about you, buddy. Thanks for coming on this morning and taking the time. Tell us where you're at, what you're doing, and give us a little background about yourself.
Yeah, Nick Kimball, obviously, like you had said before. I guess you'd say that, going by Slick Nick now, it's trying to build a brand with everything that we're doing 589 wise and in the customs through business, AmCan truck parts that I started 13 years ago. And back in 2022, sold that to JX Peterbilt. JX now operates that along with our body shop that we had, Total Appearance. So now I am actually operating out of our, in our area, dealership with history, our Waukesha store. So still the same family ownership wise, the Jorgensen family. Chuck Jorgensen started it. I believe, I'm not even going to say the date because I honestly, I feel bad. I don't know that part. So they've been around. It's going to be third generation here. Goes by JX Enterprises now, but we're still a Peterbilt group. Got stores in Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and honestly got a great opportunity. I grew up idolizing people like Shelby Elliott. That's kind of where the Slick Nick thing came from, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
That man, I can remember going to the truck stop with Dad, grabbing the truck paper, and that was the first page I went to. I wanted to see an A model or a big sleeper. And then guys like Clint Moore, that guy, he deserves his candles. That's definitely somebody that, I think a lot of people, in this industry look to as far as what he's done. But for me, I just, I know there's a lot of history in our area in Wisconsin and stuff. And for me, I wanted to bring a lot of them customers back. It's unfortunate to an extent that everybody's still got that hatred for that new model, that 589. There's so much of it. I make a post, I think they're good looking trucks, and I see people's comments. At the end of the day, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you guys can do. Like, this is what we have to work with, the prices and all that. This is all affected, along the way. This isn't like I'm making $250,000 off of a truck, so but for me, there's so much history in our area, and I wanted to, bring that back to our dealership. So I'm gonna be honest, I was, ever since a little kid, always wanted to be a truck salesman. So just them steps in life that we make to be somewhere. And I would not change anything that I've done, as far as what I took to get here. So but I'm out of our Waukesha store in Wisconsin.
Well, listen, thanks for bringing up Clint and giving him his props. He's still at it. He's still doing it. It amazes me how many West Coast trucks came out this way from Clint Moore.
He's everywhere, even here.
Yeah, he's out there, man. I mean, funny, my last ride that I bought it out of Nevada. I didn't buy in California. Nothing against anybody. It just, that's where I went because they took care of me. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line. Look, we go where people take care of us. Right. So, right. The process now is probably still pretty much the same as it was even back, 25 years ago when I bought my last truck. And you go in and talk with a guy like you either are going to sit down and build something with a customer, or you might have something out in the lot that they can take and do something with, right? I mean, is that kind of still it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm putting together quite a few stock units right now that are being packaged with our Amcan Elite. We've got 3 levels that I'm putting together, but I'm working with a number of guys as well for, whether it's just, a clean truck to get in, or I got a couple down the pipeline that are pretty much full builds. So it's not much different. I will say, because this is new for me, you can come in and think you're going to handle it and know all of it. I'm still learning. I'm slow. I will be honest like that. I'm a perfectionist to the point that I frustrate myself with some of the things that take me forever. Your biggest fear is to do a large screw up on a spec, and that's my thing is I don't want that call with a customer where he says, we missed this or you missed this. So, that's just one of those things, it's probably no different than the guys before,
No, I mean, the process is there. You put everything together in a build sheet and a package and send it in to the factory, and it has to be signed by you. I think they're still proofing and checking it to make sure it all works, and then they send it back to you for final approval and the customer to sign off on. So ultimately, you guys are all sitting at the table together on this thing to make sure it's going to work. And hopefully nobody misses anything. Let's go back to
1970. I mean, they were founded in 1970. So, I mean, they got something going on, right?
Yes. Yeah. Chuck, Eric. Eric's he's the current sitting president. And then Hannah is 3rd generation. That's his daughter, her and Austin. Great family. My grandfather, most people that know me. I'm actually a Kenworth guy. And it's not it's just what I grew up around. But if you told a 10-year-old Nick that he was going to work at Wisconsin Peterbilt, I'd have been ecstatic, and there's history there.
And so that's the original, if I'm understanding, that's where they first started, right? In 1970. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I feel bad that I didn't know that answer, because last year was our 55th anniversary.
Well, guess what?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm nervous doing this.
now you won't have to forget. Now you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna remember it.
Well, that's why we got Matt, the memory guy, right there, man. He just earned his copy.
I put it in the private chat, but nobody caught
it. I see that over there now. So anything else you type, I'm going to read that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, by the way, good morning to everybody out there that's watching. I know nobody's making any comments in here right now, but everybody that's watching live right now, I know you're there. I see the numbers, but also want to say good morning and thanks for tuning into the playback viewers that are going to be watching this later on. So everybody finds their time wherever they watch from, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Let's go into this 589, man. I'll tell you, when I post up a new 589, and Clint's a contributor every month to the magazine, and we post up whatever it is that he's currently worked on or working on or whatever, and that 589, man, gets some of the most, a large amount of traction of anything out there. It just becomes that focal point where everybody decides to chime in and share their opinion, which that's what we're looking for. So I mean, guys, you're not wrong for doing it. It's amazing though how many people chime in on it, good and bad. And personally myself, I'm so far removed from actually, running a truck every day, and the changes that have occurred from my truck 379 long hood to went 379, 389, now 589, right? So we've gone a long ways through some trucks to get where we're at today with what's happening. But holy crap, man. Going through the pictures we went through yesterday, Nick, you and I sharing, some of the stuff that is on your page, the interiors and stuff, it's just a whole different world in there, man.
Yeah, they're not, they're not the same, and I totally understand that. I grew up around them too. I miss, like we talked about, I miss the the toggle switches. I wasn't a big fan of when the rockers came out myself, but now we got a newer rocker. Evolution is there. There's nothing I can do about it, and we got to play with what we got.
Well, 100%, and again, I'm gonna bring this one up just to kind of. And I'm going to bring your others that you have brought for us to look at and share. But when you look at these interiors, it's just such a whole different world. And listen, again, not not faulting anything here, just saying it is a different animal. And yeah, if you're like me, let's just pretend you've been in a room for 20 years, and all of a sudden you go from 379 or a 1998 379, even, let's say, which 98 was like that year of the 79, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many just awesome 98 379 hoods built, and then that dash changed in 2000, whatever it was, 2 1, which incidentally I got one of the new dashes, and everybody was freaking out about that. Holy crap, man. We
Yep,
just
yeah.
went completely off the chart on this one. It's a whole different deal. Everybody's going to have their feelings about it. So people want to buy a truck, they're going to buy one of these. That's it. Bottom line, right? I mean,
Right.
it's there's no way around it. And and I think this is an awesome looking truck, by the way. I love the colors. Yeah, and as we discussed, it's got West Coast written all over it, man. That truck really does. It just has a West Coast vibe about it. Double straps on the tanks, flat top sleeper, which that's a cool setup. So ideally, where do you see this truck going?
Well, there's a gentleman in Texas that's actually called out yesterday looking at it. I personally see that truck ending up either in Texas or something that's running West Coast. We have a lot of customers in this area that run. That's their lane,
Yep.
And that seems to be a truck for that, that setting. It's crazy when you do see the guys that run those different lanes. I grew up around my family running Florida, and you can tell where they do run for the most part, right, as far as styling and what they purchase. So I honestly see that truck ending up doing that.
So one of the big things you're always hearing is the complaint about the one-piece windshield. What's any what's some stuff that you can put out? You would be a good person to ask. I mean, I get it. You've heard all of it. What's the thought process? Is it cost effective that way? I mean, is it really that expensive to replace that whole thing? I mean,
it's not cheap.
Right.
And it's one of those things. It's there, right? As a dealership, we see the same amount of complaints with there's braking issues. I'm going to be honest with you. There's not much help. We do talk to Peterbilt, and I'm not saying that they're not willing to fix but it's still so early. It seems like everyone's trying to not point the finger, but figure out what is the problem. It's been brought up that it's because we're putting aftermarket visors on these. I think it's something to do with the tunneling. As far as you look at these trucks when they come in off the road and they've ran in some of that road slobber with the rain and whatnot, and you look around in that air cleaner area or up over the top of the hood, the wind and the dirt or the slobber is making like a twist. There's definitely a tunnel effect that's happening there. So what are all these stones doing that are getting in that area? Plus, not to mention, it's a big windshield. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I understand when people are saying, like that truck there, a guy commented and said that truck only thing it needs is a split windshield. I'm not going to disagree with people on that. It comes down to everyone's taste. I personally see it as there's things that you do to them, in my eyes, that just keep the truck to what it is. I don't know that two-piece, it still hasn't grown on me as far as what we have out there. And I've seen, I said this to John yesterday, this is nothing derogatory towards the company making it. It just reminds me of a Zamboni. It doesn't really, it's not, I think what we got to figure out is the visor. That's like this one here that we're looking at on this great truck. I think it looks good. But like I told John also, I'm nervous to put visors on trucks because a visor is truly the personality of the person buying the truck. You almost want to leave it alone and say, hey, you take delivery. We got them in stock. Let's, we'll put one on there that you want. The windshield is definitely probably the number one that's brought up. The windshield and the dash. That's the two. And we just hit on both of them.
When was the 589 first released? When did this first come into play?
24.
24.
Yeah,
So
I think they're model 25s, but 24 was the unveiling. There was some being put on the road kind of thing.
So for all intensive purposes or otherwise, we're 2 years into this model.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of a new series of trucks, the 500. We're out of the 300s. There's no more. Right? I mean, 389 was it, right? It was done.
So the breakdown. So you've got it's revealed in May of 23. It was put out to customers in August of 23. Factory production starts up in January of 24, and the first large wave of them was mid 2024.
Yeah, so the 20, those 23 ones that you're talking about were like the test ones, and whatnot. Yeah, those were. Yep.
Well, all I'm saying, or trying to get to is, at this point, we're still. You guys are still dealing with it. We do, as far as where we share the trucks that we get and we put them out there into our channels. But there's still guys out there that are just kicking it around, like not happy about it. There's others that are like, I love my 589, and I gotta say, I'm a fan. I got no skin in the game. I do have skin in the game. I have to say it's a great looking truck to me. Now the one piece windshield thing, guys are going to get past it. I know that they're just, it's going to be like, okay, yeah, remember when? Yeah, I do too. Remember when there was a flat dash? I remember when there was plywood floors in the truck. Yeah, that was, was that ever good? Not really, but it's what it was at one point.
Yeah, plywood, little windows, small.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have changed over the years. Some for maybe the good and some for maybe not so good, whether it's personal preference or functionality. Functionality is everything, man. You're going to be into this thing hanging on the wheel, 24/7 for a week or more at a time. You want it to be, I want to get in there and feel like I am cool being here. I am at ease, comfortable, and relaxed. The last thing I'm stressing about is my ride. I'm just, taking care of business around me, making sure I'm safe, that everybody else is safe. I'm on my way where I'm supposed to be going and getting there and, doing my business. But the truck underneath me, I want that thing to be all about, cool, fun, comfortable, all these things. There it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing for me as well. I want to give them a look that I would say, pertains to my style, right? And my style might not be for everyone. When somebody complains about the look of the truck, all I can really say is we could be stuck with a 567 or a 579 and no hood at that point. That 2.1 cab is the one thing that I say to a lot of people is just drive one once. I hated it in 23, like you mentioned, Matt, when I went down to the unveiling in Denton. I was standing on the stage for a truck that I had built that was picked for, one of the top builds and stuff, standing on the stage. And I remember trying to peek behind the curtain to see what this thing was. And when I got because I was up level, so I looked down at it a little bit. And I remember going, what the hell is that thing? Because you don't really, I feel like a lot of things when it comes to vehicles, cars, pickups, I'm a big GM fan. When the new pickup comes out all the time, the first time I see it, I'm like, whoa, no. And the next thing you know, a year later, I got one. It's what can we do? It's evolution. But I walked around it and was just like, man, this thing's kind of clunky.
I think we get to the point where we're past all that and go, now let's build a badass truck. This is the base that we the mold. This is the clay we got to mold into what we want it to be. Let's make it freaking cool. By the way, Dan was there for that. Dan Lynn's our own Dan Lynn was there at that unveiling and covered that and shared pictures of that truck that was great.
Don't you think that's just human nature though, John? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just change. People just don't like change, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, well, like I said to John yesterday, I grew up in trucking, so I feel like I can say this and not offend anybody.
Yeah.
Trucking, it's a fad to not like anything. It's a fad to, be against something, whether it's a person or a truck or, there's so many personal things that but again, it's the industry. I don't talk bad on anyone for that, but there are definitely times when somebody makes a comment. It's like, man, are you speaking from experience?
Yeah.
know?
I think it's human nature though too, to be quite honest with you. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, it just it's just unfortunate. I think it's just it's built in us, unfortunately.
Yeah, the industry is so tight at the same time. Everybody knows everybody to an extent as well, and but I told John a story about it. I had a customer they were the two brothers. They had ordered 389s, and they were in the shop, and they were complaining because one got the digital dash and the other one got the analog, and he was, there's only a VIN difference, and I don't get this and this and that. But while complaining about it, the one brother gets a phone call that got the digital dash and basically said, "We got to go. My new Denali pickup I just ordered came in with that new digital dash," and I'm like, "What?
Right.
Like, you want it?" But I get it at the same time. It changes hard.
Well, and it's funny too, because there's so many digital accessories and instruments and things that have been made available for trucks, big trucks, passenger trucks, whatever, light duty, you name it. And guys are always looking at that stuff, and they're taking out all the old stuff and changing it over to that. I mean, listen, we all do our thing, but you go back to 359 to 379 to 389. Now we're at the 589, and it's just part of the process, and it's something new to bitch about and have a conversation about or whatever. And if that keeps everybody rolling and awake down the road, let it be. Right.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a conversation piece.
It is. I really like the steps on these. I like the fact that those have been cleaned up finally. I never was a fan of our 379 step boxes, battery boxes. They just, especially if you got super trucker driver guy like me going in and out of the damn thing, they always have a little bit of a swoop in the center of the step, and there's just no way getting around that because that's just what we did to them.
Yeah.
And then the other side, we had a toolbox. Now it's a whole different program out there. I will say, there's some solutions for this, and we talked about them yesterday, and that's getting rid of that depth tank and putting that thing into a place where you just can't even see it. It's not part of the look anymore. If you want to get rid of it, you can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as, everything else, the exhaust, like on this one, so this has got the particulate on it, the trap on it, right? And those stacks are real. Do you have weed burner? Those ones
are real.
Real deal. Okay.
I get I'll order one or two with the grass burner exhaust. And truthfully, the biggest reason why there is the complaint that I get, or what I hear a lot of, is when we do it and we get we dump an exhaust pipe down at the back, the white slobber up the frame rail. That's that's what a lot of guys complain about. So, you get a little bit of, you have customers that know what they want when they come in, right? And one will say, well, I don't want my exhaust hooked up. Now, personally, there is to me, the nice thing about no exhaust hooked up is the bugs aren't burning on the exhaust pipe. When it comes to the wash job time, it's, but as far as stock goes, I don't really stock too many. Me personally, when I'm putting them together or working with the guys to what we're going to have on the ground, we don't do a lot of the ground burner. Now, if a guy asks for it, not a problem. We can do that for you.
Let's dive into logistics. Where are you guys at with build times? What's that look like now?
We're not much different than anybody else. It's hard to find good, the help right now. That's probably the biggest one. I can tell you, I would not, our custom trucks, as far as the trucks where customers are coming in their order out, they jump in, right? So if we got something that's for our stock for the lot, it's not being pushed in front of somebody else's. So let's say, John, you ordered a truck. You're not waiting for the 15 trucks that I got here on the ground. We have to manage it that way. Right now, between, let's say you ordered a truck today, I'm not going to see that truck until October, and we're probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks before it starts, being construction, going forward there. So that's, let's call it 3 months. It comes down to, again, though, it's just, getting the truck in, getting the parts. There's not to say that it's a COVID thing, but it's still hard right now to get some of these parts. Some of these vendors they're a little behind, and you can't blame it on any one thing, but the times there's still that fumble of that effect.
Things never really got 100% sorted out in our post-COVID era with the supply line and supply, issues. It just never did. I know that.
Well, everything. I mean, you know how many times I've heard people say that I can't find good help? It doesn't matter what you're in.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's not to take away from the people that you have right now either, and that's the thing that stinks is when I say it, I don't ever want anybody that was either working under me or working with me to think that I'm being, because I'll be honest, I don't make a lot of people happy that are working with me, because I expect a lot, and I will throw my hand up on that. But it's not to say that they're not trying. I will say that we definitely have a generation that's coming in of, like, it's kind of scary. That I can't say,
Yes. Yeah. And that's one thing I could say for my career field that I just retired out of. So both my brothers are still in it, and they're in a higher up management role. And I tell you, I've been retired 3 years, and I tell you, like, I can't tell you how many times I say, man, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. And it has a lot to do with some of the younger generation. But that's a whole nother.
I'll give them their candles though. The one there's I've had some guys that I look back now and I wish I would have gave them a little more praise. There's definitely some coming into the shop and whatnot. But I grew up, it's much like so many other people. I grew up with my grandfather always saying, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Like, don't see me, don't let me see you not doing something. And that's my grandpa, I was just there to have fun with grandpa and drinking RC cola. Like I wasn't, but grandpa, and that's instilled in me. But at the same time, like I would tell so many people, I'm not going to ask you to do something I wouldn't do. If I ask you to take the garbage out, you're going to see me take the garbage out 3 times to your 1 kind of thing. But I just want teamwork, and that's a thing. And in our area, it's been a bit of a struggle. I will say, right now, I could use 2 people to work at the AmCan store. That's a warehouse guy and a parts counter person. But this is a different time.
There's no one industry that's exclusive to any of these issues either. I mean, you still go into the local food shop somewhere and you're dealing with it there sometimes still too. I mean, the bottom line is there's a different culture, a different attitude out there. There's still good ones, and there's not so good ones. So we deal with it everywhere.
Well, with that being said, if there is anybody listening that's wants to work around cool trucks, I'm hiring. We're looking for. We're not much different than anybody else, though.
Get a hold of Nick, and Nick will get your info here before we let you go. I want to bring up some of these trucks that you sent over to me that we can talk a little bit about, some notables. And by the way, love the fact that you got grill bars, man. I love grill bars. So it looks like you got them all over the place here going on. This guy's got a full complement going. But tell us about 13. A little bit about each truck as we go through them.
Yeah, so this is a truck. This is where I grew up in it. And a lot of these guys aren't just customers, they're friends. I've known Vinny since I was in high school, since I think I met him in 04 when he got his orange and gray one, or 05 maybe that was. But this one, we built this in 2016 for a driver of his, Brad Garrettson, was driving it at the time. And this was a fun one. This was a glider from 12 gauge Customs. I will tell you, there's not many of these trucks that you're not going to see that I need to make sure Jim Higgins is recognized for. I call him Uncle Jim, but this paint scheme here, Jim is the guy for this. So I work pretty close with him, but this one here, when I started AmCan and stuff, this was kind of that first one where I got to do a little more of my design stuff and put my little touches on it. I'm not going to take any credit for it. A lot of this was Jim and Vinny and Brad, and picking the colors. That purple there, we always kind of joked about it. It's like a bass boat. We put extra flake in it where we put it in the clear. Once the base was sprayed down, you put the flake in the clear, come back, sand it with 600 and re-cleared it to really make it metallic and pop. And when you see that truck in person, like it's that it was noticeable,
I like that one.
That's the one I was working on during COVID. That was a 70-inch originally. That was Jake Island's truck that
no kidding.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
gray and blue when Jake had it, and then Vinny bought it from him and then redid it. I believe that was in '09
That's
as
not the one they
well.
were pulling the end up with originally, is it?
I think he pulled a step deck with it, if I
Step
remember
deck?
right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It had it was a gray with blue frame and blue flames on it and stuff. That was, I think Jake had it kind of leased on with Vinny.
Okay.
And if I got that wrong, I apologize, Vinny and Island family. But I'm pretty sure it was like they were running stuff together with it. But Vinny had it redone a number of years ago, and then in 2020 he picked up that sleeper there, had us pop top it, so we flat topped the cab. And the old bosses that I worked with, John and Jeff, they owned TA Truck Painting. They sold out to JX as well, but worked hand in hand with Jeff on that one. Jeff cut that roof cap and made it so that didn't have the ultra cab on the sleeper and stuff. And then I had to figure out how to make an older sleeper wire into a newer truck, and that was kind of a task, but that's one that we did as well.
Got it done. That's all that matters.
Yep, Biggs. We did this truck in right after the white and orange one that Biggs drove. This truck was getting built just as we were starting to put AmCan together. And AmCan, when we first were doing it, I was working on this just to have fun with and play with trucks as a hobby. AmCan was never meant to be what everybody sees it as today. We were supposed to be just like a crash shop, selling to insurance companies and stuff. So this one here was kind of just more of a hobby truck that I got a chance to work with.
Dan's going to like this because we got more coming here. And
there's another one.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think a lot of these have been in your guys' magazine or cover truck.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's an honor to think about that. It's one of those things, and I'm sure I'm not much different than a lot of guys or younger when we were younger in school and whatnot. I used to you had to read books, right? The teacher, you'd sit and they'd say, "Oh, go read a book." I was sneaking Overdrive magazine or 10-4 magazine or Moving Out. That's what I was wanting to look at. So to be featured in those, it's that it's an honor.
Sure.
This truck here, we just did that a couple years ago for Travis Sankin. This was right at that time frame of COVID. This truck was kind of pushed off, and COVID made this one really not fun for the customer. And I still to this day apologize to him for how this one took time wise. But as far as the finished product, there's a couple of them that are right up there rank wise that I'm so proud to be a part of and proud to have a team that worked with me on them. And this is one of them. This truck here, I guess is the one that I got to kind of really cut my teeth and show people what we're capable of doing.
I'm looking for there it is right there. I'll bring it up here in a second for everybody just to kind of get a little view into it. Let me take that out of there right now, but in case you guys are wondering, and there we go.
Yeah.
And that's June 2024. So it was not that long ago, right there on the cover of 10-4 magazine. You guys can go back and look at any of these in the website. Anybody wants to research any of the past covers and featured stories, they're all in there.
That's probably I would say my proudest moment of a truck. I didn't share those pictures with you guys, but those who are local to us that would come in as customers and visit that truck, me and Don Wood, who I consider one of my best friends, put that together in my warehouse bay. It was frame rails, paint was all done by TA, a lot of fab work. We had some guys that were working here at the time. Josh, he extended those 379 front fenders, extended the cowls were made by 12 gauge to give that truck a lower presence. A lot of fab work was done by Bones Fabricating, a neighbor to Don Wood up in his area. But I will tell you, every time that I was around that truck, the year we built that, that's a proud truck for me. That thing right there it's cool. It's not over the top, and to be asked to be a part of it was definitely an honor, and still to this day is top truck for me. That
I think that's one of those trucks too that could make it another round out under the shows and still do quite well, and I'm pretty sure still does. So
yeah. That thing was, I mean, that was ever evolving throughout the whole project. It was, we know we're putting glass in it, but everybody's doing bus glass. Don wanted you to be able to see the dash. We went to our local glass shop and said, can we get some elegant looking glass? And we put a gray tint glass. And I mentioned it to everybody when I talked to them, because it's not something that I feel anybody would recognize for what it is. But man, when you see it in person, it just kind of gives it that extra little crisp that just flows with the truck. And it's kind of an odd thing to maybe point out, but I'm very proud of how that truck turned out. And to me, one of the cool factors is the glass.
Got a couple of other ones I'm going to share with everybody here. Starting with this guy right here, and this is something that's in process. Well, you're closer now to it being done, or is it done? Is it done? Is done?
No, that is my version of what I felt was going to be a 250 anniversary truck. I know Peterbilt, and I'm not going to knock what they put out there. They put out that 250 truck, and it's there's only 250 of them made, but I just feel that it could have been done better. And I'm not saying that this is the best option or version of it, but this is, again, I can't thank Jim Higgins enough. Kind of going back and forth with him and what I wanted to kind of see, and just also asking him to do his thing. The stripe is not, to me, is unique enough that it's not going to date itself. But what we're seeing here is pretty much the current stage of that truck. We hope to have it done for a local show on Baraboo next week to unveil it. But I'm very proud of what the team at TA has here for us to display. But at the same time, I think it's just a cool, unique build. The horns, how often do you see horns on anymore? That name there, the cool thing about the name to me is we did an internal competition. I feel like the biggest thing you can do is to make sure everybody is part of things like this. Makes everyone feel like they're part of it. So JX is a large company, over 1,000 employees, and I got with marketing, and they did they put together an ad that was sent out internally, allowing people to name the truck, and that was the name we chose there. It goes into a large basket of what this is, right? The American Speeder, Peterbilt 250, all of that stuff. So it was a fitting name, and it was very cool to see somebody not involved on the build side of it like us. I believe the lady that picked it is in HR. Gives her an opportunity to be a part of it.
We got a couple here that we didn't get into, and I'm going to bring them up as well. You can talk about, and they're definitely nice shots. This obviously got to be Mid-America, right?
Yeah, that was in the Dynaflex booth. That's a truck for Grant Alderman, another one of the customers. It's not a customer, he's a friend. I did know him before he was a customer, but we've grown to be very, very close friends. That truck there was built by a local shop, as far as paint work wise, before it was brought to us, and then a lot of stuff was done by another chrome shop, Homer's, locally here as well. So I want to make sure they get their flowers as well. But right. Grant wanted to do something different. I wish I had more photos of the interior on that, and that's where we really got into it, and we painted the motor and stuff for him. But that interior on that thing was just next level. We wrapped the dash in leather, all blue. Got with Carl at Rockwood. He made me some one-off pieces that had glow light options, and that's another one of those trucks that I definitely hang my cap on and say, I was involved in that, because it was definitely a cool truck.
When you get Carl's name in there on an interior, that says a lot.
Yes,
and here's Now, this is a 389, right?
Yes, this is Brandon Lesage. This is the gentleman that this truck was being put together for Louisville the year of COVID. It was ready to go, and all that happened obviously. And this truck was, when it was done. It's crazy, the evolution of times, right? So everything that was done on this, not say everything, but there's a lot of things done on this that weren't really common yet. The glass watermelon lights, not saying they were already a thing, everybody, as far as doing the interior lighting, but that one there, I worked with a company out of China to make them teal, to make them like a blue teal color, because you really only had your common colors, purple, red, blue, and all that stuff. There were things done on that truck that just, it never got its flowers, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, there was 2 years of Mid-America that didn't happen thanks to Fauci and company. So, mark my words, man, this thing, the COVID, the whole thing, I think the dynamics are going to have a new, parallel to them as to what it's called and who it's affiliated with mostly and more now than ever before after this deal this morning. I just can't see it not happening that way. All very impressive, Nick. And you know what? I love the fact here, and I'm going to back up to the beginning that I opened with on this, and that is, yes, Nick Kimball, truck sales, been involved in all this in a process. That's how you feed your family, and it's your livelihood. But listen, man, I want everybody to peel all that back and off and go, yeah, this is all about relationships, man. It's still all about relationships, right? I mean, you get the good ones and they keep coming back. You get the ones that didn't work out so good and they still come back. And that's the ones that you had to work a little harder to make happen, right? You've got those, I'm sure everybody does.
Oh, yeah.
All being said, you happy doing what you're doing still and see yourself doing anything different here in the next few years? You're going to keep working it?
I will be honest. I come from a trucking family, third generation myself, and I don't see myself doing anything different than trucking at all. That's something, it will always be involved in trucking. It's pretty cool. My wife, she's a teacher. She's starting to, we've been together 20 years as far as, dating, and then married 13 and stuff. And it's cool because now she's writing a book, or she's writing a series of books, and it's trucking, that's for kids. That's her next thing. And I don't see that. I definitely, I will be honest with you. I've had, days where it's like, you feel, is this right for me? Right. I definitely have days where I beat myself up because I do take a lot of pride in what I do. And there's times where I just don't know that I'm doing the right thing, but I love the path that I'm on. I love, the opportunity to talk to customers, you get a lot of them that say, I'm sorry that, I don't know what I want to do right now. And that's fine. But we don't have to order a truck today. We don't have to do this today. Let's, we get that ball rolling, things will come to you. But at the same time, I hope that they're confident in talking to me, and I can, help them make those decisions. And that's,
what's your wife's name?
Amanda.
I'm laughing, Nick, because I went, wait a minute, children's book. That was your wife that sent us an email or a message to us. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was proud the other day to send me a thing that said, look at this page that just followed me, and I kind of laughed, and I was like, look at you, you're making it before I am, kind of thing, She's loving the opportunity with this book. I'm very proud to say that she found a hobby, because she sometimes beat me up for my hobby. This isn't a job, this is a hobby. And
well, I like it. I referred her over to Trucking for Kids because that's where this could have a real good, fit. Not that it won't at right here with us, but Trucking for Kids is us, but it's just,
right.
kids kind of thing. So
yeah, it's so cool to see. It's all about the illustrations. She's sending me pictures of the work, and she's like, is this going to work? Or, I'm almost getting too picky with it for saying, no, you can't, that looks like a car shifter. We can't do that or whatnot, but it's cool. It's a very, it's a fun thing. ABCs of big rigs. You know, she's got V for visor and all that. So
you're gonna be breaking that out at customer build meetings, right?
Yeah. Thanks for buying a truck. Here's a book.
I like it, man. Tell your wife hello from all of us, and thanks for sending the message. I think that's awesome. Now that I put the two together, so congratulations on that to her and you, and that's a great thing. You know, anything to bring the kids along, I am 100% behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You come from the trucking side of it too. I still to this day I remember the people when I was a kid that gave me a hat or gave me a T-shirt, you know, that made me feel like I was part of it. My dad had a matching T-shirt, 75 Chrome Shop, great family, the Farkas family. I'm probably almost tell you every T-shirt and every time they ever gave me one, you know, like, and those are the little things that's the next generation. That's what's coming. And anytime you can, you know, make sure that the family feels a part of what you're doing, trucking is a family.
Oh, absolutely. Everything that goes on in this industry, and incidentally, I do have one more picture here. I don't want to exclude that one there.
Yeah.
It looks like your team. Is that right?
Yes, that's the team. They actually called me or texted me right before it was time to go live with you. And they're like, "Oh, come on over. We got the wheels on the back so you can get a better picture of this." And I just said, "It's too late now, guys, but can you do me a favor and make sure I get a picture of the team because you know, these guys, again, I'm not going to lie to any of you, and I'll probably get yelled at for this one, but I am a pain in the ass. I will tell you, I'm not easy to work with, but I have expectations, and these guys, every one of them here has probably got a picture of me somewhere that they want to punch, you know, but I want to make sure that they get their 15 minutes of this as well, because one of the things, you know, it's very hard for somebody to get me on camera. Alex Mai, or, you know, Asian, he always wanted to film me, and I don't like putting myself out there in front of, because at the same time I feel like I'm taking from, you know, the team that's actually putting the work to get, not saying that I'm not there building these with them. I used to, but now I've moved into this new role, but I just want to make sure that these guys get their acknowledgement, because once this is done, you know, I want them to be just as proud of this as I am, and be, you know, realize that this is somebody's pride someday. But whoever's going to buy this truck they're going to, you know, be happy that they have it, and they were a part of that. Not a small part, a very large part.
Well, maybe at some point, you know, you're able to put something together that goes on each one of these builds that recognizes the team, you know, whether by name or however you decide to do it. I mean, I mean individual, you know, assembled by such and such, you know, on however you decide to do it. But here's the photo, and I want to make sure you guys know we didn't forget about them, and we brought them into the show as well, albeit here towards the end of it. But we got you guys in, so job well done. And Nick, you know what? I've heard some of these concerns in the past from other guys in your position, and the bottom line is, you know, everybody has their part in this. Everybody. So whenever anybody in the team is saying, "Hey, I didn't get enough," you know, I get it. I do. But at the same time, man, realize everybody's got a place in the team, and you know, what comes around goes around, kind of thing, and everybody will get theirs. It just, and I mean that in good ways. Okay. Sometimes the bad stuff goes around too, but you know, everybody's part of the team, and that's what makes it a team. So don't think that, you know, Nick's job here, man, let me tell you, you know, you got to deal with the guys that come in and want to buy the truck, and then it's your job to go to your team and say, "Here's what we're doing, and can we make this happen and this happen and this happen," and then make it happen, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody's got their part, man, and I think I see the respect and humility on your part for your guys, and that's, I think, what's key and what's important there.
Yes, definitely.
So, right on. All right. So listen, let's get it wrapped up. Where do we find you at, and best ways to get a hold of you, and so on and so forth?
So I have the Facebook page that's growing here. It's Slick Nick. That would be the best place to get me. I will tell you, I've dealt with it for years with my personal page. I have people on there, I don't even know who they are, and you know, I've accepted them, so it's always been very hard to keep in touch with, or, you know, use that for book of business, right? But this is the best place to get a hold of me on here. I've got my cell phone number is listed in there. right there, that 414 number. You can, call me, text me, email me, shoot me a message on here. This is going to be the best place to reach out to me on that point. But if you're in the area, stop in. Like I said, I'm at the Waukesha branch, so we're right here between Madison and Milwaukee. That's right off of 94. So
I've got something I'm working on doing, and if you'd like to be a part of it, I'd more than be happy to have you be a part of it. It's going to be featured on the weekly update, and that is a kind of a builder's moment throughout the month where, if you've got a build you're really excited about and want to share a little bit about it, or a tip or, something that you can bring to the show, it'll be a part of the show. Won't be all the show, but it'll be a part of it. Love to have you be a part of that, Nick. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Appreciate you taking the time out, man. Time is the most valuable thing we all have to give, and I know that it is very valuable, and there's not a lot of it, man. There's a lot of things that got to get done. So, good luck to what you're doing there, and keep making us all look good, man. I like what I see. Thank
you very much. I appreciate it. This is a very honor to be on here. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate that too. And listen, we'll be in touch. I'll get you about doing the other deal, and let's make it happen.
Sounds good. Matt, it was very nice to meet you. Thanks for the
you too.
Showing me up on the 1970.
Oh, no. I tried to send it to you direct. But yeah,
I was looking over. I'm like, what's 1970? And then
that's why Matt's the memory guy, man. He gets all that stuff out there for us. So all right, cool. Nick, get back to work, would you?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You have a good day.
You too.
All right, everybody. Nick Kimball there, and I'm glad he did take the time out to be with us this morning on the morning drive. By the way, again, if you didn't start with this here in the beginning, Brandon's out. He had meetings that he had to be into today and unable to make it in. So we'll catch him next time for sure. And I want to say we have this afternoon on the weekly update, Kendall Dickerson. We're going to have Kendall back on the show. Last time she was on, the internet connection was just so atrocious that it was like watching a Chinese kung fu movie. So just, the audio was all out of sync. She was all blurry. And anyway, so we're going to get Kendall back on the show this afternoon. And if her dad's available, we'll get Dustin in there too and see what they're up to and what's going on in their world. Next week, and by the way, that's 5 p.m. Pacific time. So wherever you're at that time of the day, be sure and tune in. And if you can't, watch it on the playback like you can here on the morning drive. Next week is going to be a surprise, and I will fill everybody in more on that as we get closer to it. But we'll see you next week for sure on the morning drive. We got something special planned for y'all. That being said, Matt, anything from you?
Nope. Looks good.
Good. You can be back with us next week. Yes.
Should be. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody. Listen, JT, for Matt and the rest of the team here at Studio 10-4 Live. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Nick, thanks again. Look forward to making the afternoon builders corner or whatever we're going to call it start happening here on a regular basis. I'm looking forward to seeing that. The input that these guys can share with us on builds and things that are going on. You might glean an idea from something they're working on while they're doing it in real time. Challenges they're facing. They may have questions that need a little bit of help from you guys out there, and you might have answers and solutions. So we'll be able to get that conversation going. Till next week on the morning drive, we'll see you this afternoon on the weekly update. Until then, we'll see everybody.